Now, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry into allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system will today go into its seventh day of hearings with a new witness on the stand. For more on today's seventh day of testimony at the Madlanga Commission, let's get the latest from SABC News anchor Ayanda Nyathi. Ayanda, good morning once again.
Good morning, Leanne, and you're absolutely right. We continue with our build-up to Day 7 of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. 6 days of testimony have been heard so far. So much information coming out of it. I think we could spend 6 weeks talking about it, but as always, we'll distill some of those facts for you as we continue contextualizing this incredibly important moment for what some people have described as the battle for the heart and soul of the country. That is ultimately what is at stake. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, of course, investigating allegations of corruption, political interference here as well, at least in the work of the SAPS. And yesterday we heard from the SAPS legal head in Pretoria, Van Rooyen, who essentially gave her own understanding of some of the parameters insofar as the law is concerned about the work of the SAPS, how far the minister can go, and where perhaps some of the grey areas still are. Once again, Canny Maphanga is with us here at our satellite studios and is joining us once again. And Canny, we'll speak in just a moment about what we are expecting later on this Friday morning. But let's begin with, I suppose, some of the salient points to come out of yesterday's testimony. A considerable amount of time being spent trying to draw a distinction between a directive and an instruction. Help us place why that's important.
Well, it's important because the two figures, that is the National Commissioner and the Minister, play very different roles. One being a policy head that I guess gives the strategic direction of policing in South Africa. Then the other that deals with the how, which is how to implement that objective and have control over the full operations of policing in South Africa. Now, there's been this, I guess, assessment as to whether the instruction to disband the PKTT was that of a policy directive, or is it something that encroached on the mandate of the National Commission of SAPS? Major General Van Rooyen says that it does encroach on this mandate because it went into the realm of operations. But one can expect that the defense from the minister may be that in his role as minister, he was issuing out a directive in terms of policy. So that clarification regarding their powers and their roles must be further confirmed by the Commission when at least it deals with the reforms aspect of its findings once the Commission is done, because clearly these two roles often conflate the responsibilities, and you've seen in instances where you see that where we are today, you have Mkhwanazi referring back to 2011, where that kind of interference, alleged interference, reared its ugly head. So to close that gap and that ambiguity in the legislative framework, or not the framework itself, but the interpretation of it, then the reforms need to be made and addressed in terms of the structure of SAPS and how the different role players deal with the issue of policing in the country.
Absolutely. So she was pointing at the ecosystem, really, more than just the actors that have dominated what we've heard so far.
Beyond the figures that we're discussing today.
Yes, if we don't clarify this, we could be back here again. What do we know, if anything, about what's likely to unfold today, who's likely to take the stand, and the extent to which they'll feed into what Major General Van Rooyen had to say?
Well, we know now, because it's confirmed by the Commission spokesperson, Jeremy Michaels, that the next witness is the KZN DPP, that is the Director of Public Prosecutions there in KZN, that is Advocate Elaine Harrison. You may remember the evidence from Mkhwanazi that she wrote a letter seeking clarity on this issue of the disbandment of the PKTT. Some of the points that were raised there is that she had concerns, similar concerns with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi regarding this decision that could have implications for at least the KZN province, which she is responsible for in terms of those public prosecutions, and the looming 2026 local government elections and the implications thereof with respect to political violence in the province, because she is highlighting there, or raising the alarm, that they expect that during that period, as you lead up to 2026, that there's going to be increased violence regarding this issue of political killings. And because the PKTT had developed a system where it was not only working as the team, but prosecutors were also quite involved in the work that they were doing, and this unit was achieving some form of success in addressing this prevailing issue of political violence in the KwaZulu-Natal province. She was raising the alarm to find out, okay, is this team being disbanded? Do I now have to disband the team that I deployed to deal with this problem? So we expect that Advocate Elaine Harrison will deal with that evidence, and it is likely, again, because we're in phase 1, that it will somewhat affirm what Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has put before the Commission regarding this issue of allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system.
All right, Canny Maphanga, as always, doing a great job helping us connect the dots in some ways, given what we know. So there you have it. We have a name for who's likely to take the stand today, the KZN DPP in Elaine Harris. And of course, we'll continue our build up to 9:30 when day 7 of this inquiry will get underway.